Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We love doing these calls. It's always variable on who can make it. So we're excited for those that are listening later also. We are, and as always, I know everyone gets so shy on these, but just put in the chat if you guys have any questions on anything or want us to discuss something in particular, because we're doing these calls for you guys. So the more we know what's on your mind and like what you guys want to learn more about, the better we can help you guys in that way. So we are going to dive into first kind of talking through body image and that relationship. I think it's important to say that we all have insecurities with our bodies. Like that's something that never changes, right? But having the tools to support you, I think, through those insecurities, and also most importantly, like respect your body being number one is huge, and something I feel like I've learned throughout the years of just, having 4 kids, like being all different shapes and sizes, and just knowing that sometimes I don't love how things are looking, but I always respect my body. Sorry, my husband just went to get blood work and the clinic is calling me. And he passed out. So I'm going to call them back in just 1 second. But I think just having respect is the biggest thing. So like how we treat our body, no matter how it looks, and just knowing that it deserves that respect. Like our bodies work so hard for us every single day, and showing that respect can look a lot of different ways. And we're going to kind of talk through that. And then I also think it's important to note that no matter where you're at with your physique goals, I think we all have different goals when it comes to physique and performance. No matter how far you feel like you have to go to get to your goal, or no matter where you're at, you can find ways to feel your best regardless. And so we're going to talk through that as well. And I love Henrietta kind of wanted to talk through this topic today. And I love just where her mind is at with it. So I'm going to let her kind of kick us off on that. And I'm going to make sure my husband's okay real quick. And we'll go from there.
Good luck. Yeah, so I have had this come up, and that made me think, because I've had this come up with clients, like how our body is and look in the moment. I think it's more about how our body is than more about how it looks when it comes to clothes. Like, because, then I go to myself. So that's also why I've thought about it, quite a bit. Like, I have, again, like it is with everything, I am in control of myself and the choices and how I look at things, and how
What
I
we're
look
gonna
at
do.
myself, and how I'm going to set myself up for success when it comes to just being accepting myself. That's, there we have a choice, there we have control, there we have power, and then we need to use that. So for example, for me, I can have, okay, when I'm thinking pounds, because I'm using kilos, but pounds, I have, like, I would say 5 pounds that I go back and forth. That's like how it's my whole adult life. I've had 5 pounds that has gone way, back and forth. And those 5 pounds, that's not much, but my clothes fit very differently 5 pounds up than 5 pounds down. So that makes me, I have quite a large wardrobe where I have clothes that I feel comfortable with 5 pounds down. And then those clothes I do not feel comfortable with 5 pounds up. But this is kind of my reality where I'm at. And I think that goes for all of us. It's not like we're going to be on the exact same pound from our 20s to our 50s. It's going to be a little bit up and down for all of us, just because our weight can also fluctuate from day to day. So it's like, okay, am I feeling bloated or am I not? It can be like a thing like that. Have I been on a flight? Have I not? So just making sure that your wardrobe actually fits your whole range of normal weight, first of all, before we even start thinking about a change in how we look in our journey, so to speak. So I think that is just a very important setup that you can have to make you feel as comfortable as possible, because it's when we when we look in the mirror and we have pants that are super tight, we will feel less comfortable than if we have pants that follow our curves. It's pretty simple. So that is, I can choose to force myself into pants that doesn't fit because they fit 3 years ago and I'm upset now because they don't fit me today. Or I can buy myself a pair of new pants that fit my shapes as they are now, and I can feel, I look pretty damn sexy in these pants. That's a choice that we can make. And I'm not saying like change out your whole wardrobe, but just have a little bit of a range on the fitting of your clothes that can fit the range that our body just naturally has. And that's at least the reality for me, and has been for my whole adult life. So I assume that is the case for most people.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, it took me 3 pregnancies to figure that out. Like I didn't, I just like, and also that was kind of like money. My first pregnancy, we had like $0. I was borrowing clothes or whatever. But as I got older too, I realized like how big of a difference that makes. And even if it was borrowing clothes or going somewhere to find them more affordable, just getting like proper maternity clothes made my pregnancy so much more comfortable and I felt so much better. But then the biggest part was postpartum. Like instead of just trying to fit back into my clothes again and feeling really discouraged because I wasn't the type of person that just was the same size 2 weeks after pregnancy. It took me like 6 months to get back down to where I was pre-pregnancy. And so that's a long time to be just unhappy with how clothes are fitting and uncomfortable and just wearing like baggy sweats. Right. And I had a friend actually the other day at the gym. I wish I would have taken this mindset on. This is kind of a side topic, but for me, each pregnancy, I just wore really baggy clothes for like the first 6 months after pregnancy when I would go to the gym and work out because I just felt uncomfortable. And a friend of mine, I saw her at the gym recently after having a baby, and she had her little leggings on and her crop top and her postpartum belly, and she looked so cute. And I just thought, oh gosh, I wish I would have just had that mindset after all of my kids, because she looks adorable. And even though she's not where she wants to be physically, I know her, I know like she doesn't, feel where she wants to be. She's just embracing where her body's at in that moment and choosing to feel sexy, like no matter where she's at. And I just thought that was so inspiring. And I wish I would have approached my postpartum periods that way instead of like hiding in that way. And so I think even if you're not postpartum, if you're just not where you want to be physically, like instead of hiding and feeling like you need to like ignore your body, taking it as Henrietta's approach and like, okay, how can I fit this current state of my body into clothes that make me feel sexy? Because we've seen it on social media. Like there's women of all shapes and sizes that look super sexy and are so confident. And it's not about the size. Like I'm constantly inspired by photos of women that have all different body types. And I'm like, dang, she looks really good. And she's outside of like what we see in magazines. And so I think it's cool to know, like, you really can feel good at any size or shape, but it is about dressing for comfort, like for where you're at.
And I think it's not about like buying a whole new wardrobe for every size. It's like, for me, for example, I'm using myself here. Let's say I have 7 pair of pants, and then 3 of those pairs look really good. Like 3 of those pants I can use when I'm on my, the lowest fat percentage, if I'm going to say like that, or maybe I have less muscle. It can be whatever, like I'm just smaller. Then those 3 pants like are top notch. Those 3 pants I might not feel most comfortable with when I have more muscle or when I have more fat, but I still keep them in my wardrobe because I really love them. And, maybe they will fit me great in 6 months again. So it's not about changing a whole wardrobe. It's just having a little bit of variety and buying a couple different sizes that fits. But it's just about keeping up with reality, really, of where you're at. I also want to mention that in our journey, like when we go through a reverse, we go through maintenance, we go through a deficit, and then we work our way up to maintenance, we build muscle. This is how, if we are into that, if we're into our health, if we're into growing, and growing muscle, changing our bodies, no matter it, that whole process, your body's going to look different through that whole process. So then you will become a little bit bigger, perhaps, then it will become a little bit smaller, then it will become a little bit bigger again, and then a little bit smaller, and then your shoulders are wider, your ass is bigger because you're building, you know, your body will change all the time. It doesn't matter. It's not just changing from having more fat to having less fat. It's changing because you're building muscle as well. So it's not a negative thing. It's just that we're changing if we are
That
in.
is always changing,
Yeah.
right?
Forever.
Yeah, so I think that's why our wardrobe also needs to have a little bit of variety, so that can help us feel our best always, and not like living like I'm waiting for better days. Like no one should live like that. Like make the best out of where you're at now in every way that you can, and in every way that you have control over, because we always have some control.
I think it's important to note too, a lot of times I talk to my client about, you know, we get fixated on a number, right? Whether it's the number on the scale or the size of our clothing. Like I have to be a size 6, right? And in reality, like when you pass someone on the street or you see a friend for lunch, you don't know what size clothing they're wearing, right? That's something that only you know. And when you honestly, when you gain 5 pounds, it's usually not something that other people notice. Of course, it's something that you feel within yourself, and that's what matters. But we get fixated on these numbers when in reality we need to be a little bit more in touch with, okay, how does my body feel today? You know, like what Henrietta is saying, like how do I feel in my clothes? Do you feel uncomfortable? Cool, let's find something that fits you a little bit better. I know that I have, you know, since birth always had larger quads. I have a more athletic figure. That's just me, right? In my genetics. And I have since day one always felt the most confident in workout clothes, right? I don't love being in dresses or mini skirts or certain types of tops. And I just keep that in mind when I'm shopping. Like, all right, this is, you know, cute on a mannequin, but like, how am I going to feel in this? And just being a little bit more in touch again with those internal feelings, I think can go a long way.
And it's not about you talking down on your quads or different things. It's like, no,
Nope,
this is
embrace.
who I am and I love it. But like certain clothing, I don't really love how that feels or looks on me. And like, that's okay. I'm going to choose things that I think more make me feel confident. And I think it's not about like hating or loving certain things. It's more about just dressing so you feel your best and knowing that that's always going to change. And I think just a note on the scale, I have a client who is going on a vacation soon, and we've been working together for a while, and she hadn't hit a certain number on the scale, but she's had an insane year and has seen so much physical progress in this year amidst all the roadblocks and like things that have been thrown at her. So we talked about how like, yeah, we can get there on the scale after the vacation, but it's not it's like you're missing all the growth you've experienced this year and like all the positive change and how amazing you look too. And so, you know, a couple days later, she sent me a message about trying on swimsuits and how, oh my gosh, I feel so good. And I feel like so excited for my vacation. And it was just a whole different mindset. Her seeing the work that she put in and like the results that she was able to get, versus choosing to fixate on a data point that the scale spits out that tells us nothing about actually our body. It's one piece of data, but it doesn't tell you if you're successful or not, right? And so that's always a huge coaching win when working with a client and when they have that realization, because yes, the scale can be like a measure of where we want to be, but as we're moving forward in our journey, we need to always be assessing how are we feeling, how are we doing, and also like what's going on in our life. Like, yeah, if there was no obstacles, maybe we could get from point A to point B with no problem, but like we need to assess our life and all of like the resiliency that we've been able to bring amidst what's going on and be really proud of that. So I think just always recognizing no matter where you're at and how big your goals are, that just what the reality is, and also what level of like you're still giving 100%, even if that 100% looks different this week than it did last week or this year than it did last year. And
You can
so,
accept your body and where it is and still have goals to want to, transform it in certain ways. I think the two aren't mutually exclusive.
definitely. Yes, I love that. It doesn't mean you're in a bad place if you do have physique goals. But I think being realistic and respecting your body to get to those goals that's where I think the positive approach or a negative approach, like that's where it kind of differs there. And I
Yeah,
think
you're wanting to change it not because you don't like it, or you're not coming from a place of hate, like I want to change because I just hate my body, but you're appreciating what it does for you, but also it's okay to have, goals. So I agree with that 100%.
yeah, yeah. And I think discussing those things helps too, to know like, okay, where is this coming from? Why do I want this change? Why is this important to me? Like talk to your coach about it, talk to your friends about it, talk to people that support you about it, because that won't be everyone, and that will help you get more clear on just if that is the right like direction to go for you. And kind of with that topic, talking through, we wanted to hit on vacations also because spring break's coming up for a lot of people, summer vacations. And so just talking through different approaches based on your goals. So I like to have really 3 different approaches for my clients when it comes to their goals with vacations, right? And I think it all comes down to a plan, like making a plan. And there's different options for that plan, depending on where you're at with your goals, depending on what type of vacation it is, depending on how much you travel, what the travel's like. And so I think it kind of comes down to like option 1, extremely rigid and strict, not one I would really recommend for most people, is I'm going to be 100% accurate. I'm going to track my food. I'm going to bring a food scale. I'm going to go grocery shopping, and I'm going to just follow the plan while I'm on vacation. I think that can work for people that travel like a lot. If you're traveling once a month or twice a month, like that can be an option for you, because if every time you're traveling, you're just being intuitive, you're not going to see progress. Or if you're like at the end of a fat loss phase, or you have maybe a weight class you need to hit for a competition and something like that, right? Where like you have a deadline and it's close, then that is maybe an approach you need to take. I would say only 5% of people probably need to take that approach or would want to. And then the next approach, which is one I often do on vacation, is I'm going to track the meals that we are eating at the house. Like I'm gonna, we usually stay at an Airbnb. So I'm going to track the meals that I'm preparing myself. And then if we're going out, I'm either going to guesstimate or I'm going to just be intuitive on those meals and make sure the rest of the day I'm getting in protein, I'm getting in veggies, I'm getting in water. We know on most vacations, people are pretty active, so we're not really worried about activity level. So kind of like an in-between approach there. And then maybe deciding like, is that going to be every day, or is it like I'm going to do that for 5 days of the 7 days of vacation, and 2 days I'm just going to not have my phone with me and not worry about it and be intuitive. So kind of deciding, and how you decide that is what's important to me on this vacation. I have my goals, but then I also have the vacation and memories. So like, how do I want to feel during the vacation? And also, how do I want to feel after the vacation? Because if you completely let your goals go out the window and just eat donuts every day, right, then you're going to probably feel like garbage at the end of the vacation. But if you have like an approach where, okay, I'm going to focus on getting 2 cups of veggies in a day. I'm going to have high protein breakfast. I'm going to be intuitive at dinner, but I'm going to get a protein option with vegetables with my dinner every night. And then I'm going to make sure I have my water bottle with me every day. Like that's you can be intuitive, pretty intuitive with your vacation that way. But then at the end of the vacation, you're going to feel pretty good too. So just deciding ahead of time what your goals are with your vacation and how you want to feel after can help you decide like what your kind of non-negotiables are going to be on your vacation. I think the third option is just kind of like I said, like non-negotiables. Like maybe you're not tracking at all on your vacation and you just have some things that you're focused on every day. Like those things, like getting in a certain amount of protein with your breakfast, or packing vegetables, or having like one big salad if you're going to go out to eat per day. Drinking a certain amount of water, maybe getting in some body weight movements every morning with your kids or your family or friends. So just deciding ahead of time what you want to do and then using that to guide you through your vacation based on your goals, and knowing that's going to be individual. Like how I handle a vacation versus how Henrietta handles a vacation, it should be different because we have different goals. We have different maybe amounts of time that we're traveling throughout the year. And then we have different lives, you know? So some people might be able to prep all their food on vacation. Other people are going to have to eat out for all their meals. So it's just totally different, but we want to support you with your goals kind of no matter where you're at, because we do feel like no matter where you're at, you can be intentional with those things and like feel your best kind of regardless of where you're at.
It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like bring the food scale or don't do anything. So
I think that a lot of times what I can feel both with myself, but also what I can feel with clients is like, if you just take away pressure, a lot of things just will go by itself. So if you're a client and you're a little bit, you're tired of tracking, maybe you have been in reverse for a long time, it's like it's taxing, it's taking a lot of your energy, and your vacation is coming up, and you want to enjoy that and want to have a good time. And then I would say perhaps like just don't worry about tracking during this vacation, just have fun, create memories, have a good time. What I often see when a client comes back, then if it's a person that has very high expectations of themselves and they kind of need that approval to just kind of let go of things. So what I often see when they come back is like they have eaten protein, they have been drinking their water, they have been getting in veggies. It doesn't really matter if they tracked or not, if depending on what they wanted, but they have been thinking about it. I think that is something that I feel with myself. If I let go of the pressure, I will succeed because I want to do those things. I want to eat protein, I want to eat healthy, I want to feel my best. So it's not about me. It's not me having a competition with myself or trying to be a good girl. It's just about me choosing to live a life that does me good, that makes me feel good. So I think for me, that's quite interesting how a lot of the times when we put pressure on ourselves, or we feel like I have to do this, or if this vacation I'm not tracking, it's just going to ruin everything I've done the last 3 months. Like that's not going to happen. So just like kind of taking down the shoulders a bit and like, okay, I'm just gonna have a good time. And then like, yeah, but a good time that also includes protein, it also includes water, I want to move, so like I feel like that is what I see often. And I think all of you clients that are working with us, you want to live happy, good, healthy lives and enjoy yourself. Like that's just, so I don't think it's that often that eating McDonald's 3 times a day and then finish it off with a donut is like, that's not going to happen anyway. So I think taking away pressure is a big thing as well, I think, especially, but of course, if you go on vacation once a month, then you have to be a little bit more rigid if you want to see results. So it all depends on how often it happens, of course, but yeah.
And I think it's important when you're addressing your plan to consider that spillover of vacation, very similar to holidays. Is it the 4 days that you're on vacation, or is it the week following that you still haven't gotten back into your workout routine? It took you 4 days after your trip home to go back to the grocery store, and you've been eating miscellaneous things around the house and quick, easy foods and convenient stuff. I mean, that could be more detrimental to your progress and your plan than the 4 days that you spent on vacation.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I think for me, like when I'm coming home from my vacation, whether it's flying home or driving home, I know I don't have food at home, right? I definitely don't have fruits and vegetables. So we don't live close enough to do like a grocery order to our door. So I rarely order groceries. I always just go to the store because I live far away. But I know when I'm coming home, I'm going to be driving past grocery stores. So I always order my groceries like the night before we get home and schedule the pickup time for when we're going to be driving by. And they'll always hold them if I'm like running late. So I just make sure it's early enough that when we drive by, they'll have them ready. and I get a bunch of fruits and vegetables. I get everything I need to set me up for the week. So then I bring those groceries home when I get home, which is really annoying to unload groceries when you're unloading suitcases, but it's like, it's the biggest
It's your
game
food
changer,
in the house.
because the last thing I want to do is go to the grocery store the next day when I have a whole to-do list of like work and everything that I've missed out on when I'm on vacation to do.
Laundry.
Yes. And so order groceries on your way home. You can also do that on a trip. I've done that on trips. Like I know the Airbnb address, I order groceries, or I do a pickup close by and I can just grab it right and on our way to the Airbnb. So those things have been really helpful. And then also scheduling your workouts for the week you're getting back. And having kind of your plan for like the day after you get home with work and workouts and food. So you can just hit the ground running and not feel like a week of limbo.
I did a funny story. When we were at Airbnb, we did that. We ordered like from the shop groceries there. So I changed the address like to that Airbnb, like outside of New York. And then the next time we came home, and the next time
you ordered them to
yeah, I forgot to change that. Like, here, your groceries are here, like a picture outside that Airbnb.
like, that's not my door.
Like, no, that's
yeah, don't recommend that. So check that.
remember to always get it back. Yeah, that was like, yeah, someone else enjoyed that food.
That's funny. Yeah, so I think it just really comes down to like, just being intentional, thinking it through ahead of time. What are my goals? Do I want to be intuitive? Do I want to be rigid? There's so many options in between. And then also like, what's my plan post vacation? Those first few days when I get home, I know I need to be intentional, just like on a weekend. Like you could crush it during the week. And if you don't have a plan for the weekend, all of us have probably felt that, like where we're not eating and then we're overeating or not getting any protein in. If you're intentional and have a plan ahead of time for those time periods that are kind of a little bit more unknown, then that can help a lot with just giving you a template for feeling your best. Any other questions on these topics? You guys were so quiet on these calls today. Hopefully that was helpful. And we would, I know, as always, we'd love to continue these discussions. If you have travel coming up and you're not a one-on-one client, you're in the app, maybe doing subscription, just like share that. Like, hey, how should I handle this vacation? We'd love to help you troubleshoot. That's why you're part of the Hungry Fitness community. And if you are one-on-one client, then you have a coach that works one-on-one with you that would love to help you troubleshoot any travel. And this goes to like, if work schedules are crazy, like, we have people in the medical field that are on call or nurses with variable schedules. So thinking those things through with your coach can be really helpful too. And it just comes down to having a plan, being willing to change that plan if needed, and going at it with giving yourself grace throughout the whole process. Because it's always a learning, you might have a plan for your vacation and get there and nothing goes as planned. And it's like, okay, what's the takeaway here? There's always learning. So that next time you can have a plan that more fits appropriately based on kind of what you know. So,
and also like live in the moment. Do not live in the past and do not live in the future. Like live in the moment, have your goals, but be here and now, so that what is going on in your mind is based off something that has been in the past or something that you want in the future. Like, I think that's important as well. Like be here and now.
And willing to adapt and use us to support you in that. That's what we're here for. So hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Thanks for joining. Definitely ask us questions in the app if you have them today, and we'll be talking to you guys next week.
Bye.
Have a good one.